I I just want to say a word to everybody. Um, Tom and Randy are the living legacies of a monetary policy we had in the 40s and 50s in this country in regards to how our monetary structure should work with farming products, which we might call raw materials. I call it food and fiber too, things we need that are essential, and including mining and fish and logging. So it was a powerful relationship. And they're all dynamic. It's Joe, it's Randy, it's Tom Asbridge. Tom Asbridge was oh, the chief lobbyist for farmers in the 80s. And both Randy and Tom have been presidents of the National Organization of Raw Materials and other organizations. So welcome, Tom. Welcome, Randy. And great work, Joe. And Saudi sets the stage for all of this and for what's going to come. And for Joe, I hope that was enough of a break. It might be your turn, but I'm going to leave it to the three of you, and I'm going to work.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to go. I think I have my other slide up here. It's not as many at all. Let's see. So I'll just go then, and I'm
Randy is the discussant, but also Randy, I'll be your discussant. I'll be covering the chat, whereas you may be able to be part of the conversation that comes up. So it's all yours, gentlemen.
Okay, so Randy, I'm gonna go, and I'm trying to figure out. I need to get my slide. I got my slides open, and I need to be able to share my screen here. Okay, and I go here, and I say share. Okay, is that open?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so if that's open, I just have to say slideshow and say from the beginning. Okay. Okay. So yeah, why am I, the thing is that I have to be honest and say that my dad talked to me about parity economics and agriculture, and I didn't know what he was talking about. And every once in a while, when he would be saying something, he says, and also the parity thing, and also the parity thing. And I thought it was something more like equity or equitability. I wasn't really sure what it was. And I never kind of squared that corner. And it wasn't until just a few years ago that I started to think about it again. I remember seeing it in Stevens Arlanga's early writings, quite frankly. And when we come to find out about Norm and about Randy, because I missed Randy. Randy gave talks in the beginning of AMI, and I wasn't there. And then by the time I came, Randy had gone back to Michigan. So there seems to be a lot of kind of question about, well, monetary reform or parity economics, and which one, how distinct are they? Well, I will tell you that if there's a common thread that runs through it, it's Frederick Soddy, because of the fact that the sustainability of agriculture and our food production, it requires really that we have a holistic, means of having money available to do the things that need to happen in the raw materials field, in order for us to have a sound national economic output. So I decided to say, well, look, when we look at it, when we read through the books on parity, what we see is that there's oftentimes references to Soddy's work, and for good reason, because in dealing with agriculture and dealing with food, we're dealing with real wealth. And in dealing with real wealth, we're discerning how Soddy discerned what was real wealth. And so for that reason, like I said, if you read the books, there's numerous references always to the work of Sadi and trying to understand the importance of paying attention to the wealth as opposed to the virtual wealth and the debt. So having said that, I said to myself, well, what do we really find? So parity economics and monetary reform is what I'm saying is they're joined at birth. And when I say at birth, I mean the birth of the nation. For us, they're joined at birth because the Constitution provides what, well, I call it the money power. It's generally referred to as coinage power. But Congress, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 5 of the United States Constitution says, Congress shall have the power to coin money, to regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coin, and to fix the state of weights and measures. Now, again, it's the way I'm viewing this that I'm not being able to see everything.
You can move around your icon if you need to, if it's covering stuff up, just by clicking
Picking
on
it up? Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Excuse me. Now, to fix the standard of weights and measures, well, we do that once, and we might take a look at it every 50 or 100 years, but we've got standard of weights and measures. What's that provide for us in terms of parity or in terms of money? Well, it says that there's going to be a bushel of wheat and 100 weight of milk and those kinds of things, and that those are the things for which we need to get parity, a parity economy measured. To coin money, to regulate the value thereof and a foreign coin. These are all the powers any nation needs to achieve a parity-based and to replace our present disparity-based national economy. Let's put them all to good use. Power to coin money means to create and issue our money into national and global commerce in whatever form and manner decided. The key here is that to have the power means that you have the ability to implement the power, to regulate the value of our money, the dollar. That's the symbol, the dollar, U.S. symbol, but it's our money. Our unit of currency is the United States dollar. To regulate our money's use, and again, I'm going to say that power as necessary in order to maintain its nominal purchasing power over time. Maintain it over time. The 100-cent dollar, as they call it, for all U.S. money in commercial circulation, especially notably via good government to legislate and regulate and to guide the impacts of the stable currency, being the purchasing power, towards the nation's pursuit of its people's economic happiness. Third, to regulate the value thereof, the value of foreign coin, excuse me. I've got a wild dog running around in here. Within our economy, the fair and equitable trade tariffs and agreements. Editor's note, based on international parity-based economic policies and agreements, you're going to have to take a second. Sorry, that was Max, my daughter's dog. I don't know how he got loose and got in here, but he did. I apologize for that. Keeping it real. Max is keeping it real here.
Exactly.
Okay. So parity economics and monetary reform. Historically, for good reason, monetary reform has been almost exclusively involved with that number one, money power, and much less directly with the second power, government creation. Why? Government creation of permanent money, issuing new money into circulation via transparent public spending programs, providing for 100% public gain from its use through seniorage income, all without any associated debt. Public money. You get all of that out of the first power. This one structural systemic change from a private to a public money system enables a broad menu of social and economic progress. The people now determine the priority use of the nation's money supply. And the reason that I put that in there and put a little quote on it is because that was how my dad taught it to me. He said, what we're fighting for is to take back the priority use of the nation's money supply and put it to work for us. Take it back from the bankers, doing the capital development of the economy when money is debt and money is capital, and restoring it to equity and restoring it to the asset that the people use. And by doing that, to determine the priority use of the nation's money supply. The Kucinich 2011 legislation reform proposal in the NEED Act, HR 2990 of the 112th Congress, specifically calls out these non-inflationary, non-deflationary monetary policy requirements that mark the second money power to permanently regulate the value of our money. The NEED Act first places the national regulatory policy onus directly upon its monetary authority to identify its non-inflationary money quantity using measures that recognize the velocity factor present in the effective money supply. And the monetary authority then advises the Congress on the amount of circulating meter required to achieve the national economy's full, as agreed, potential for production. As a result, to a large degree, regulating money's value is in there, perhaps as much as can be done without parity-based economics. In terms of moving to a parity economy, what they called in the Charles Walters calls, and I'm pretty sure it was also based on Carl Wilkins' descriptions, the American system of economics. Well, what I want to say then is that today, let's start the process of moving from the economics that's taught in the schools, that comes up through the, through the wealth of the endowment funds at the universities that want to hire the teachers that are going to keep doing that. We're going to move to the system, American system of economics of the parity school. That's my hope. That's my intention. Achieving a parity-based economy involves the second and third power levers in distinct policy measures even more directly than the first. By establishing through law and regulation a fair wage-based economic platform for farmers, for everyone, let's say, for agriculture, and then also through establishing tariffs on foreign agricultural goods that guarantee, to the degree possible, that foreign ag products cannot enter and be sold in this country except at our determined parity price in that market. In other words, we don't want to stop trade at all. In fact, we want to encourage trade, but we don't want to have trade ever to be at conflict with the inner workings of the American economy. In a lot of ways, clearly stated throughout the history of the study of parity economics, it recognizes the nation's need for a new way to issue new money into circulation without associated debt, and that's the key. That's kind of the key that overlaps between the parity economics and monetary reform. We cannot do it with a money system that's based on debt, and if we do, we're going to continue in the way that we've been going for the last 100 years in all cases. And to thus promote the full-blown pursuit of monetary reform, especially as advanced by Sadi 100 years ago and by other modern ecological economists like Herman Daly today. And the foundation issue. A full-blown 90%, I should have put a question mark there, a full-blown parity-based national economic regime can be re-implemented tomorrow. All that is needed is a new team of agricultural policy movers willing to honor the labor of our farmers by implementing the existing laws on parity at the measured parity price today, or at whatever price metric is adequate to justly advance the economic well-being of the farmers that produce the nation's food wealth. Today's last, our farmers and their farm-based communities may again become first in terms of the real wealth they produce being equitably shared. That, to me, is the spirit of the community that I want to be involved in working with. Parity-based reform to a public money system that is regulated and administered toward both the pursuit of happiness and the nation's ecological common good provides our citizens with the most powerful political economic strategy that can be brought to bear in order to achieve our needed ecologically and economically sustainable Green New Deal. And I'm not going to repeat that, but I'm going to say it's that important. So let's do that. The Constitution says we can. I say we must. Otherwise, we're toast. Parity, not disparity. So be that. Thank you very much. Over. Let me see if I can stop share.
Excellent.
Okay, okay, there it is. Sorry.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Randy?
Yeah, that's all of that stuff. Maybe folks aren't familiar with me or with our organization as Norm. As you said, we've participated in several of the early AMI conferences. Both Charles Walters and I were there, I think in 07 for sure. And I think 06, Chuck, I think, attended one more conference than I did. But our correspondence and our participation has been mutual. And like most other folks who participated with AMI, we all get to talk, although we get to listen and try to maintain our positions. It's usually what happens. Rather than to share our approaches and try to bring them to bear on the needed changes involved. What you put together there with Sadi's approach on the is true. It's fundamental. It's an important foundational element. Really, what Sadi talked about, and the important part of it for me and Norm in particular, we've been doing it for 80 years, more than 80 years now, is the physical economy and how the money works in the physical economy. If we look around us, everybody's camera who's turned on, we get to look through that and look past the face we see there and look at the stuff on the wall. Look at the wall. Look at the chairs we're sitting in, the books on the shelf, the pictures, all of the stuff. That all started out as raw materials and labor. That's the physical economy, providing all that stuff, getting it into hands in a form we desire it that's useful to us. That is the physical economy. And if the money doesn't work at the physical economy level, civilization itself is toast. That's where we're at. And what we've seen in the past, well, since 71, essentially, when the international gold window was closed by Nixon, the financialization of the world's economy has ignored and been based upon the exploitation of the physical economy for the benefit of paper hangers. That's my view. I won't ask anybody else to subscribe to that, but that's my observation of it. And our statistical analysis has been employed to illuminate exactly that situation. But that's what we focus on. That's why we are interested in monetary reform, why we've been working at it, the 100-cent dollar for everybody, from top to bottom, front to back, side to side. And a lot of in-depth information has to go with that. How long we've looked at it, the statistical investigations we've conducted, the experimental policies that we have been able to get implemented in our federal government have been, well, there's a lot of story there.
If this video is helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe for new video notifications. Please consider donating at monetary.org/donate. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter at AMI Monetary or on our website